Today I met my 34-year-old self for coffee. She was young and vibrant, full of enthusiasm for her forthcoming move to Italy. She was so ready to take the risk, even if she didn't have all of the answers. She was hungry for this next chapter in her life because deep down inside of her, she knew that it was the next step that she was meant to take. She had this unwavering connection to Italy that she couldn't shake. And she knew that she was meant to do this, even though she had never stepped foot outside of the UK and lived in another country before. It was really inspiring to spend time with her and to remember that energy that she had, because sometimes I forget what a decision it really was to move to Italy. And I forget how much I didn't know back then. But there is this expression, isn't there? You don't know what you don't know. And that was exactly how I would describe her. She didn't know what she didn't know. There were so many things that she was yet to discover and uncover. And so many aspects of her life would change in ways that she couldn't even have foreseen back then. But that didn't deter her. And she made her dream a reality. She was never one to just talk. She was one to walk and talk. And it was a beautiful moment that we spent together. But it also made me realize that perhaps it would have helped her to have known about more of the challenges that she would end up facing. Specifically, the one thing that she failed to think about in all of the excitement of her move, which was how she would build her connections once she started living here in Italy. And in my opinion, this is the number one thing that a lot of people don't think about until they've started living in this country. But you see, Italy is a particular country. Italy is a country which thrives on connection. I've said it in so many other videos. It is not what you know, but who you know that will take you places. And it's a way of life that you may not be used to. You might not be used to having that kind of deep connection with people, but it's really, really important here in Italy. And back then, my 34-year-old self did not realize this. I grew up in London. I grew up with different sets of friends. I was quite a closed person a lot of the time and would only really open myself up to people who I knew. A kind of character trait that has stayed with me really throughout most of my life. But I always had the ability to dream big. And I always had the ability to see beyond the troubles and to see the potential in situations. And I think even if I had known that community was such an important thing, I think I would have still tried to see the positive and be optimistic about it. But you see, you've got to be more than optimistic when it comes to community in Italy, because that first year and a half that I spent when I first moved to Italy was one of the most difficult times of my life, because I felt so lonely and isolated. I also didn't know who I was as a person anymore. I lost the ability to communicate, to display my personality. My level of Italian was next to none. And as such, I just watched myself and all that energy and enthusiasm that I'd moved to Italy with slowly fade away. And it was only when a year and a half into my journey that I connected with the expat community in Salerno that things really started to change. And I can sit here now, nearly 7 years later, and I can see those pivotal moments where things started to turn in a different direction and get better. And that was one of the most pivotal moments in my experience to date, because that was when I finally felt like I had connected with people who not only I could communicate with, but also I could learn from. And I forged some really wonderful connections in that community, some of which I still have even to this day. And it's something that I look back on and I think, if only I had known about that group sooner, my first year and a half might have looked completely different. And even as I progressed through the time that I have spent living here in Italy, I have noticed that it is those moments where I have made connections with people, friendships, or just, beautiful interactions with people, that I have definitely elevated my experience in that way. And it's such a powerful thing. And, I have been reminded recently as we were house hunting in the Salerno area of just how important connection is. Because when you don't know people in a particular part of Italy, it's very difficult to get people to trust you. It's very difficult to know where to go for things or who to ask for help, because you don't have that kind of recommendation or referral that you would have if you knew people. And it can make your life unnecessarily difficult, especially at the beginning. So this is why I really want to stress that, in my opinion, this is one of the most important things you need to do when you start living in Italy, is to build your connections. And really, you need to build them in two ways. You need to build your in-presence connections. In-presence connections make a real difference to your everyday life, because these are the connections that you will make with people that you will see on a regular basis, people that you can turn to if you need help with something in your life, people that you might be able to grab a coffee with or have lunch with and actually feel human in that moment because you are able to express yourself in some way. Those connections, in presence connections, really do help you to feel like you are part of a community, and they help you to feel less lonely. And so that is why those in-presence connections are so important and shouldn't be overlooked in that way. But you see, they're not easy to build at the very beginning, and they take time and they take effort. And it means that you are going to have to push yourself out of your comfort zone. You are going to have to say hello first, or try in your broken Italian to have a conversation with someone. You are going to have to make more of an effort at the beginning in order to meet these people halfway. And I think when you can start to do that and you really put the time and the effort in that is required, you reap the results, because you start to feel like you have settled in Italy. And that is a really, really beautiful feeling. Now, aside from the in-presence connections, it's really important to have online connections as well, because, as I said, those in-presence connections can often take time to build. And so in the very early days, you want to be able to have people that you can turn to in an online capacity and, have a chat about your experiences with, or gain some advice or wisdom from what they're going through. And you can find them in online expat communities. And indeed, it's how a lot of people that move to Italy build their initial connections, because some of those expats may live close to where you live, but others may not. But at the beginning, it doesn't matter so much, because you just want to feel like you are with other people who get your decision to move to Italy, get why you would want to do it, and ultimately understand what it means to live in another country. Because so many people forget that Italy looks a particular way when you come here on holiday, and it looks another way when you actually end up living here. And so many people do not realize that there are two sides to Italy in this sense. And so you need to be surrounding yourself with the people that get that Italy has another side to it. And, those expat communities online can be real gems on one hand. It is through one of those online communities that I discovered about the in-presence expat group in Salerno, for example. But they can also be really negative places and spaces full of judgmental opinions and people that want to deter you from your decision. So you have to be so careful. When I first decided that I wanted to move to Italy, I did venture into those online expat communities. I did have the foresight to think that there might be things I need to know about before I moved here. But I didn't expect to face the negativity that I did. People telling me that I wouldn't find a job here. People telling me that I would find life really difficult here. People telling me essentially that I could probably choose another country and have a better experience. But you see, my 34-year-old self was very set on this decision. And it didn't matter what people threw at me or what they had to say to me. I knew that I was meant to do this. And so I was completely undeterred by the negativity and the naysaying of people in these communities. And you know what? I'm so glad I was, because I didn't experience half of what the people in those communities told me that I would. I was able to find a job, and I have been in continuous employment since the moment I stepped off the plane in 2018. I was able to sort out my bureaucracy, and apart from some recent hurdles that I faced here in Palermo, it has been a pretty smooth ride. I was able to find myself here, even though I had a few stumbling blocks and it took me a while. I've been able to find myself in this country, and I've been able to create a life for myself here. And so half of what they said to me in those communities never ever materialized. And yet I see so many people enter those communities, and perhaps they're on the fence with their decision. They haven't fully decided what it is they want to do. And they listen and they absorb all of these opinions and kind of advice, where really it's judgment passed as advice. And they absorb that and they listen to that, and they allow that sometimes to direct the next step that they take. That sometimes they are dissuaded, they decide it's not for them. And that's a really, really sad thing. And so I decided to do something about it, because I understand just how important community is. I understand the difference having a strong community can make to your mental well-being, to your physical well-being, and to your overall experience and life here in Italy. Trust me, I understand it more than anyone. I had a breakdown here in December 2019, and a lot of that was because I struggled with that whole initial period of moving here, and I struggled in so many different ways, and I had some other kind of unresolved stuff in my mind that I was processing, and it just all got on top of me. And so I understand firsthand that community really can make a world of difference to what you experience. And so I've decided to create an expat community with a difference. Expats in Bloom. This is going to be a brand new, nurturing, supportive, uplifting space for expats who plan to move to Italy or who are already resident here in Italy. And in this community, I want to offer so much goodness. Not only will you be able to connect with each other and build your own connections, you'll also be able to connect with me. I want to bring in guest speakers who will deliver masterclasses on different topics and different aspects of life here in Italy. I want to organise member events online where we can all connect and with each other over different matters, maybe book clubs, things like this. I want to also have downloadable guides and templates that are going to help you navigate life here, and also run challenges and sprints to gamify the process of adapting to life here and help you to fast track your progress. There is so much goodness that I want to include in this community, and above all, it's a place where your dreams are not going to be dashed. You are not going to hear people telling you that you shouldn't make this decision. You're going to be given the reality of life here, absolutely, just as I serve it up to you here on my channel. But it's going to be in a supportive way, because I don't believe that to deliver the reality of a situation to a person has to mean that it's a complete negative experience. I think that you can have your eyes wide open, but still receive support from people and be able to independently decide if it is the best decision for you. So if you're interested in learning more about this wonderful community that I'm in the process of building, and you want to join the waitlist, which I'm really excited to say there's quite a few of you on the waitlist already, because I've started announcing this in my newsletter, which, by the way, if you are not signed up to my newsletter, postcards from South Italy, I'll link it up here so that you can join. I've also started sharing it on some shorts as well. But essentially, I'm so happy to see so many of you on the waitlist already. But get your name on the waitlist because you will be the first to know when it launches. And because I'm keeping numbers limited, because I really want to create and retain this intimate environment, I don't want it to be too big and out of control. You're going to want to make sure that you don't miss out. I will put the link up here and also below in the show notes so that you can sign up to the wait list and you can, understand when it goes live and you can understand what this community is going to offer for you. But I'm so excited because my word of this year was evolve, and we are in February, and I've had this idea brewing for a few months now. But it really only solidified at the beginning part of this year because I decided that community was going to be a central theme of mine this year. Building community, helping other people to build community and allowing people to feel supported. And I feel like it has all come together with this concept of Expats in Bloom, because I do believe that you can bloom in your life here, whatever part of Italy you decide to move to, because this community is for all of Italy, not just for South Italy. I'm going to be bringing in people from all different parts of Italy to talk about life experiences in all the different parts of the country. But I really do believe that you can bloom here, but you have to have your eyes wide open. You have to be educated. You have to know what life is like here in order to be able to do that. And so seeing my 34-year-old self today and observing her enthusiasm, I don't think I would have changed any part of me back then. But I do think that if I could have changed anything, it would have been to really focus in more on building community early on, because I don't think I would have found the initial transition so difficult had I really connected with more people at the beginning and really been able to express myself and not lose myself in this way. So if you're thinking of moving to Italy, or you are already here and you are like, I need to start building connections, get out of the house more, make an effort to sign up to community events, start frequenting local places on a regular basis to get your face known, and might maybe even consider signing up to Expats in Bloom and build your community, because I promise you it will make a world of difference to your experience. I'll see you in the next video.